All right, I'm sitting here once again at the love2d.org wiki main page, and I want to draw your attention to what we've been doing and the fact that there are lots of libraries available for Love2D that will allow you to do all of these things that we've been doing, and there's a lot more features in a lot of them, I'm sure. But you can go to the libraries category, and you can even click this little lovely sort arrow here, and you can have it sorted according to keyword. Remember, we were messing with animations. We've been messing with animations, and you can see there's some tweening libraries, which we'll probably get into later. There's 3 of them. There's an actual animation library for Love, and then there's actually a 2D skeletal animation framework also, as well as a few implementations of a class-like behavior for Love 2D modules or tables. And of course, we've done all of this ourselves over here. That's what we've been doing, and that's kind of how we're learning how these things work internally. But if you want to use libraries, feel free. But we're going to kind of try to go along here, and we're going to make our own stuff. That's what we're going to do. And with that said, what we want to do today is I want to determine what else we might need for the animation, our little animation module. And really, all that's going to be is we want to be able to loop these animations like they are right now, and we also want to be able to make them stop. And we'll probably add more functionality to it later, but that's what we're going to do today. In addition, we're going to look at playing sounds using the Love Audio API. So, what I thought would be fun is we'll pull up the little guy that we pulled off of opengameart.org, and he's got this little punch animation. So let's add a punch animation to the little guy sprite here. So the punch animation is going to be at 80 because we were at 64 here, and we moved down 16 more. Since he is 16 tall as well as 16 wide, we're going to move straight down here, and that's at position 80 pixels from the top. And this all stays the same except for this. This was the column size and the number of frames. So we want to change that to 3 because our number of frames is 3. And for this particular animation, the column size is 3. Kind of what we're doing is creating a little grid here. And now that I look at that, I want to switch these two. And if you'll look, it won't make any difference for these that we've done. They're both the same. See, column size, number of frames, column size, number of frames. They're all the same right now. They are anyway. But I want to switch these two parameters because the number of frames and then the column size, I don't know. It feels better to have the column size come after the number of frames. Again, it won't affect anything here, but perhaps later when we mess around with some more of this stuff, we may actually change. That may actually change the way we look at some of that stuff. So I want to go ahead and do that. So again, I switched those two. That's all I did, and it won't make any difference with these. So we got the punch animation, and let's have him punch a little bit slower, say 10 frames per second. And let's add the punch animation down here. Hi-yah, punch! And let's play that punch animation. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that works great. But something that's going on here that I don't want, and that is it's looping. It just keeps on playing. And that's fine for walking animations, for run animations, but what about for jump animations or for punching animations? Those types of animations need to go and play their little sequence once and then stop. Well, we don't have that functionality in here yet. But as luck would have it, it's not that difficult to add. So let's see what we can do. Let's add another parameter called loop. And loop is going to be basically a Boolean, and it's going to Boolean, make it true or false. That's what I'm saying. And it's going to be true if the animation loops, i.e., you know, like if the guy walks or if he's swimming or whatever, and it's going to be false if we only want this animation to be played one time through and then to stop at that last frame. So let's do self.loop equals. Now what we want is we want this loop, but I want to make this such that we don't have to specify this looping every time we want to, you know, basically if we don't specify this parameter, let's assume that the animation loops. So it's sort of like an optional parameter, and if it's not specified, it'll be true. So the way we can do that is we'll say if loop equals nil, and then we'll say, well, that will be true, which is what we want if loop isn't specified, or take the value of loop. So if loop is not specified, if we don't put loop in, like right now we're not in any of these, then the loop parameter here will be nil, and that will be true. And that's fantastic because that's what we want. We want it to loop, to default to loop. Or if loop is not nil, it's going to take the value of loop, whether that's false or true. Exactly what we want. So loop equals false, play through once, otherwise loop forever. Okay, we got that set up. Now we're going to need to go down in here and we're going to need to change a few things. One of those is we need a way to kind of make this thing stop. Just stop. We don't need to update or check anything once, you know, if we're not looping. Well, let's add an additional condition, and I'm gonna cut this, and I'm gonna pull that out. So we're gonna say if the number of frames is less than or equal to 1, as we've said before, there's no need to animate. If you've only got one frame in your animation, you just display that. And we're gonna do else if we're gonna see, and again, let me remove those parentheses. We don't need them. Else if self.timer, basically if there's time on the timer, then we want to come in here. And I'm going to paste all of our good stuff back in here, and we'll indent it. So if the timer is greater than 0, then we want to subtract from the timer, then check the timer, and do all of our stuff in here. Okay, so that's going to be how, basically, that's going to be how we can, whenever loop is false, that's going to be how we basically just stop, and we just only display that one frame and we don't go any further. Now that also requires a few changes down here. So if we have the self.timer is less than or equal to 0, then we set the timer to the frames per second that we want, and then we add one to the frames, and then we check it. But this is where we want to know if we're looping. At least this is how we're going to do it. So if self.frame is greater than the number of frames that we have specified, then we're going to have an additional if condition. That is if, and I don't need those, self.loop, and I really should be consistent, shouldn't I? Look at that. Can you see that? That's horrible. If self.loop, so if we're looping, then just go ahead and set self.frame equal to 1. So reset the whole animation. Otherwise, in other words, self.loop is not true but false. We want to go ahead and set that frame equal to the number of frames. And we also want to set self.timer equal to 0, so then it no longer comes back in here. No longer this condition is false, and so this stuff doesn't get executed anymore, you see. That's exactly what we want. Now, it might be nice to know when a non-looping animation is finished. So let's make another variable up here, and let's call it done. And initially that's false, and then also when we do a reset, we want that to be false. But when we're not looping, and we're at that last frame, then we'll make that true. And the usefulness of that, we'll see how that works out. So theoretically, if we have done all of this correctly, we should be able to come up here. We should be able to say at punch, for this punch animation, we should be able to add our new optional parameter. Actually, let's test it like this, because with no parameter, it should do the same thing as before. Punch, 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 punch. And that is absolutely what it's doing. But if we say we don't want it to loop, we just want it to play once. Boom. Perfect. That's exactly what it's doing. Okay. That does exactly what we want. Let's add another animation, and let's call it idle. Let's say, let's take these 4 frames and see what they look like if we use those as the idle animation. Okay, so that is going to be again at 16, but this time, since it's above the walk animation and he's 16 high, it's going to be 16 coming down from the Y, so that top corner is going to be right here. And he's 16 wide by 16, or 16 wide by 16 tall. And there are 4 frames. The number of frames is 4, and the number of frames per column, or the column size, is also 4. And let's make him go slower. Let's say 6. And this one will loop, so we'll just leave it like this. Now, let's add an idle animation like that. Let's play it, and let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so we've got a lot of little animations here. And one thing we haven't discussed is how we might flip these animations. For example, if he's going to the right and maybe we want him to go to the left, we'll have to address that as well. But in any case, I think we have a little bit more of a complete sort of little system here. And then I guess we need to, let's check, gosh, it's going to be really fast, but let's check and see if this done flag actually works like we envision it to. You know what? We don't need to check it. It's really simple. Done, false, false, and then it only is set to true here. And then when you reset it, or reset that animation, it's reset itself. So, and then there's something else that we may also want to, in our sprite class, we may also want to undo, which is this particular line right here. We may want to just go ahead and set like that. It depends on how we want our animations to behave. But for now, we'll just leave it like that. And let's go and let's add some key press detection, which we haven't done any of that yet. Let's do that real quick, and then we will hopefully get to the audio. We'll see. The time is running short, my friends, but we'll try it. We'll see. So we're going to do love.keyboard. We're going to look that up, and there are a couple of events called key pressed and key released. So we want we have a callback function that's triggered when a key is pressed. Now, the question is, we can also utilize this basically poll for it, which is another way to do it. And let's do that real. No, let's not do that. Let's not do that just yet, because that will involve some requirements for state. Because this basically says whether a key is down, and it will just continue to return true. But we're probably gonna need to wrap some of this stuff so that we can get basically when is the key been pressed, when has the key just been let up, and those kinds of things. So let's just use for now, real quick. Let's use this love.keyPressed. So we'll add this to our main, and again we'll come back later and we'll change some of this, and I don't need to do that. I just need to do love.keyPressed. Now let's just use the space bar. And where are the key constants? Well, you can click on this and the key constants are right here. When we're looking for space bar, just plain old space. That's all you have to say, just space. Description in the key string. Okay, that's real simple. Really simple. So we just say if, and I did it again, if key equals space. Then let's change the animation on our sprite. Sprite dot animate punch. And let's end. Now let's see if that does what we want it. Yeah. Yeah, it did. But I think we want it whenever he's finished punching that he goes back to the idle state. So how do we do that? Well, we can, and we can get rid of this stuff too, because man, we got this junk going on. For now, what we can do is we're gonna need to how should we surface that? Let's just add a function for now, and we'll call that sprite. We want to know if that animation is done. Animation finished and end, and we'll say if the so we want to say if there is an animation right now, it's not equal to nil, then, and then we'll also here if it is, we'll just return false. Or let's actually, if there is no animation running, we'll return true, because you know. Then if there is an animation defined, then we'll say return whether or not it's done. Let's see what happens there, and let's also slow down punch to like 1 frame per second so that we can at least see if this actually works. And something else we want to do, we want to know, well, we do have that. We should be able to just say the sprite's current animation, whether it's equal to blah, blah, blah. So let's do that. Let's say if the sprite dot current animation is equal to idle, no, punch. If it's equal to punch and sprite dot animation finished, and I'm doing the parenthesis thing again, sorry about that, it doesn't really matter anyway, Lou is fine with or without them. Then let's go back to idle. So now we're checking that flag, and we'll see if this actually works. So let's load it up, run it, push the space key. Let me take this out. That obviously didn't work too well, did it? Hey-yah! And that's interesting. There was a disappearing act that was done just then. I wonder why. Sprite.animate. Let's check that out again. If self. See where. Reset. Animations.animation name. Set self quad. So it's setting the quad to be where it's supposed to be initially. Let's check the punch animation. Let's just make sure that it's not. It is. Okay. Did you see that? That's good. I thought it was going crazy there for a moment. For a moment, I believe that was going crazy. Although that is supposed to be, isn't it? Why? Yeah, it's completely skipping this frame. It's skipping this frame. Okay. For fun, let's just comment this out and see what happens here. No, still not. That frame is still not coming up. Back to animation. The frame is number 1. So, yeah. Self.offset. Let's do this. I want to see if that frame, yeah. Why did it take a second? Oh, I think I know why. No, we did say that these values really aren't necessary. We're actually just calculating them right here. But you see what we're doing here? Offset X, offset Y. It should be start. Actually, no. No, because, yeah, see, we're not calculating these when we reset. So, really, all we need to do, we can fix this. We can fix this. It's fantastically wonderful, lovely. Let's grab these two. I can remember how to select multiples here. There we are. And we'll just, no. Yeah. We'll select both of these lines, but we only need this. Remember, we're setting self.start offset, self.offset. We're basically, oh yeah, we could just do it right here. No. We want to reset. When we reset, we want to set offset X and Y to be that. And as a matter of fact, let's not even bother doing this or this or this. We will just say self.reset here. And that eliminates any code duplication. And let's go and undo a couple of the things. Did we do anything here? Yeah, we did. We did that. That's fine. And we'll go back and undo this. And we'll put this back. I think that's right. Punch. Okay. Let's animate the punch again. And let's comment that out. Yeah. See, now now he's starting correctly. That's good. Very good. But Ah, of course. Another code duplication error. See, animation name. We don't have an animation name here, so that's nil. We need self.current animation. That, my friends, should do it for us. And he should return to idle. Okay. So let's go back and let's put him at idle. Let's increase the punch animation to, let's say, 7 frames a second. Rerun it, and we'll push space. Boom. Oh, yes. That feels good. Matter of fact, let's add, say, 8 to his. Yeah. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. So, as promised, let's also go in and I found some really cool punch sounds on OpenGameArt. You hear that? That's really cool. Yeah. All right. Let's grab those. And I'm going to put those not in graphics, but we're going to make another folder. We'll call it sound effects. We'll stick those in here. We got a bunch of them, and they're flack. Yeah. I didn't realize that. Can I just... Are they really flax, or are they just... I don't know. Let's try hit 01. Let's try just saying it's an MP3. And let's play it here just to test and make sure that it works, because we're running short on time. Let's go to love.audio, and we should say right here, love.audio.play. And the source, let's see what a source is. Can we... A source represents audio you can play back. You can do interesting things with sources, like set the volume, pitch, and position relative to the listener. How do we... Right here. Love.audio.new source. It's what we want. It's what we love. So let's make for now, let's make a local sound, and let's say love.audio.new source. And the file name is going to be hit01.mp3, but it's going to be under assets / sound effects / there we go. And the type, it's going to be, let's see, it can be a streaming or a static resource. Let's see what it is. Stream, decode it gradually, decode the entire. Let's do static. It's not very big. Let's just decode it all at once. So now there's our sound source. And we should be able to say, go back, we should be able to do this. Love.audio.play and do our sound source. Love.audio.play. And we'll do our sound just like that. Load it, should play. And it doesn't. I didn't hear anything. No, I didn't hear anything. I think I need to convert this little guy, because it was a .fla. Looked like it was a FLAC file, which is what it was originally came in. So let me pull up our good friend, if I can find him. Where are you, my friend? Our good friend Audacity. If you don't know about Audacity, it's a fantastic open source sound editing tool. We'll drag this guy in, and there it is. He's in stereo too. While we're in here, we might as well just shorten him up a little bit. And let's select that whole thing, and let's export it as... Let's export it just as a wave. Just a plain old wave file. And I'll save it here. Let me find where I want to save it. Let's see if it works. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. That's beautiful. All right. So that's what it was. Love2D doesn't support FLAC, but, you know, that's not surprising. So we converted that to just a plain old WAV file. It probably supports MP3 audio sources. We could probably look and see what type of sources that it supports. I'm sure that it says somewhere. But in any case, we're good because we converted it to a .wav file. All right, so now we have the audio source. Let's just for now, let's put that out here, that variable. So it's a local in our file. And let's take this and let's add that to here. And we can do something else. If key equals space and sprite.currentAnimation, see what I'm doing here is not punch, so we don't want it to keep playing. Not equal to punch, then play the sound because it's awesome. Yeah. Interesting. It looks like, you see, I can make it play, or I can make the animation play more than the sound will play. And I'm wondering if you have to stop the audio source from playing and then start it. Let's try that and see if it will. Yeah. Let's make him punch faster, because it's fun. Sounds great. Let's go 10. More. More. Let's do 15. Oh, that's so much fun. I love it. All right, so I think we'll probably just stop this episode right here. We'll cut it, and we'll continue on in the next episode. We got some good stuff done today, and look forward to seeing you next time. Until then.